kept my camera off accidentally. All right, I just want to show you how much it snowed last night. Check out, look at the pile there, and over here, it's like crazy. It snowed so much last night. It was a good night. So hope everybody had a good Happy New Year's, and hope you guys can see me. Just try not to back into anybody. Move like that way. That thing is completely useless. Man, that's a big snowbank. I can't see nothing. I can't see nothing. I'll stop when I hear the crunch. Alright, so. It's a bad spot to pull out of. Kind of-ish. Alright, so, figured, well, I was starting off the year right. I got home at like 5 in the morning. I was with friends. That type of thing. They had the Bears Den Christmas Eve party at the hall. $15 to get in. That was crazy. But it was all good. They had a DJ. I was one of the youngest guys in the room for a little while. But a fair amount of people showed up. It was pretty good. So, I haven't looked at any of the... I'm on my way to the hall there now. I haven't looked at any of the news or like that. The only thing I caught a glimpse of, which apparently in Turkey they couldn't wait till 2017 to load people up, but unfortunately I think something like 35 people flew up there. But there's a lot going on there too, so... yeah, so 2017 predictions. Well, I think it's going to be the year of the bazaar. Why? Just look how crazy 2016 was. It started off crazy, it stayed consistently crazy the entire way through. And, yeah. So why would it change too much now? Well, what will be more bizarre is in the next 20 days, I think what we're going to see, as Donald Trump gets closer to his inauguration, is just despotism from the world elites. Trying to, I don't know what they're going to try to do, but just so that they can set it up. So that Donald Trump can't be successful. Now, there's really only two things they can do to Donald Trump to really derail him. Like they do to most... stay on my side of the road. What they do to most presidents, they derail them into a war. And this might be something like, just as an example, the UN resolution for against the two-state solution in the United Nations. This was clearly looks like it was Obama's doing, but it might not be, because think about it this way. Trump is pro-Israel, right? So, the United States, pretty much under Obama, snubs Israel in the last couple of days of his presidency. Now, we all know Obama's a puppet. Trump we're not sure of yet. And we won't know what he's going to do about Israel. That's where I have my concerns with Trump. Is, yes, Hillary Clinton would probably have had us in a war already with Russia. But with Trump, I think the angle is going to be, and it's kind of what they wanted all along, was to find a way to go to war with Iran. And that seems to be, that's still on the table. You know what I mean? Like, that's still not off the table. Now, Trump's stands on the economy and on the Middle East are still up for grabs. because this man is surrounding himself with people, like I say, the basket of deplorables and shadies that he has to pick from. They're still the same people running the system at the end of the day when you look at it. Same Goldman Sachs bankers, just shuffled around a bit, you know. Come on, there's just a little hell you can make it. And the thing about that is, there's two thoughts on this, that he's surrounding himself with people, yes, that have very much been around and were instrumental into the 2008 collapse and all that stuff. And there's two schools of thought in it, that new boss will be the same as the old boss, that Trump is just, we didn't get anything with Trump and that it's all rigged anyway. Or the other thing is that these are the best people, because they know how the system is rigged, to take it down or reform it or whatever they're going to do. So that is a possibility. But however, remember, these world elites are sanctioned. They're factions that are fighting. This is crazy stuff on the road. Don't put craziness on the road like that. I don't know if you guys can hear all the slush and everything. Roads aren't bad, but you got to really watch that edge of the road. That sucks you in. And anyway, the thing is that these guys know exactly who to take down if they're good guys. But it's a big if. Now, getting back to Israel just for one more thing. This could be a long con in the long run by Israel to get Trump to come to their aid by kind of, I don't know, maybe emboldening the Palestinians a bit with a two-state solution. Well, it gives them the ability, and you already got guys like Ted Cruz talking about it, getting out of the United Nations, which I agree. The United States should be out of the United Nations. Here in Canada, we should be out of the United Nations. Right now, the United Nations, or you might as well say George Soros is the Prime Minister of Canada. That's all they talk about in Parliament. All they talk about, but they mention him all the time. Our good friend George Soros, coming from about the migrant crisis, and almost every bill coming in Parliament here in Canada either has something to do with Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership or one of those really shady trade deals, which I think is what got Harper unelected. Again, I can't see a single farmer voting for the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership if they even had a faint idea of what it was. These trade deals never work out in favor of the people. It always, corporations and they're so exploitive that, and the fact that we don't know what these bills are. Maybe they would be the greatest trade deals ever, but the public's not allowed to see them for 5 years after they're passed. So that does bring some cause for concern. Trust us no longer works, which we trust government anyway, right? So anyway, let's say Trump comes to Israel's aid after the United Nations and all these other countries kind of throw them under the bus. Okay, that could be the thing all along, is put Trump into a position where he has to come to Israel's aid for whatever reason. And, they get the UN out of the way. So if Trump gets the UN out of the way and then doubles down on his stance on Israel, guess what? That's what this was all about all along. So once again, it's not about saving America, it's about saving Israel. Because at the end of the day, Trump does what the Israelis want. They get rid of the United Nations. So when the Israelis, when the United States is outside the UN, well, the Israelis can then just, bulldoze and kill the Palestinians on the other side of the Green Line or whatever, and do whatever they want there. And when the UN says something about it, it won't matter, because who's going to go against Israel and the United States militarily wise? Nobody. And anybody that does, well, there won't be all these UN things to go through. Like, the UN is a part of the New World Order, there's no doubt about that. But it's also owned by the same people. Like, I really don't think George Soros is trying to overthrow Israel. Yeah, he says it, but I don't think that's... Because George Soros he does things for himself, sure, but he's working for somebody else, obviously. A lot of people make the connection with the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, but they don't do these things purely for their own self. They're doing it for something bigger. Whether it's a satanic thing, whether it's just a criminal corruption thing and a money and power thing, for whatever reasons, we'll never really know. They just do these evil things because they do these evil things. So if they can create enough destabilization with Israel, I think that's where they get rid of the United Nations. Okay, well, the United Nations fails, which gets rid of a lot of rules that the United States no longer has to follow, because, for example, the wars in Libya and by the United Nations, these aren't sanctioned wars. The war, the regime change thing that they tried in in Syria, well, that's not legal either under the Geneva Convention or the anything from the United Nations, right? It's against that. So right now, you can see the United Nations is kind of going the way of the League of Nations, which, good riddance, we don't need them, that type of thing. But you have to understand, this allows Trump the ability to double down on the wars that he sees fit. In other words, whatever Israel wants, he'll do. So that's something we really have to keep an eye on. And what Israel wants more than anything is to take out Iran. Now, to take out Iran, that's really, really dangerous. You can't do that without playing well with Russia first. You have to get the okay from Russia to take out Iran. If not, you're at war with Russia, because that's one of their allies. It's not quite as they're not quite allied as well as, like, say, Article 5 of NATO, but they are an ally. You will be taking out Russian interests. So the long con here could be that Trump might be playing better with he might be playing better with Russia, so that Russia says, okay, well, if you want to take out Iran, go ahead. But I don't think Russia will do that, because Russia and China both know that when Iran goes down, they're next. And that's what the Russians are hardening themselves from, for example, banning all the George Soros-funded troops in Russia. I think they should be banned everywhere. Easiest way to do that is start with the United Nations. Now, there's also, Brexit still has to happen. I think the Brits are going to get quite rowdy because you can clearly see that they're trying to say, okay, yeah, well, you won the referendum, but we're going to find a way to screw you out of it. Kind of like what they did in BC here, Quebec, but in BC, where people voted away the GST, which was then goods services tax, whatever, which then became the HST or whatever, harmonized sales tax. Still the same tax, but they just changed the name and added a few points more to it, made it more expensive. People voted away, and they still have it. You know what I mean? Like, so they're proving democracy doesn't work. That democracy only works if you vote the way the government and the bankers want you to vote. And that's coming to a head. People are getting very fed up with that. So I do believe you're going to see, a pressure put on the Brexit. That, they don't want to wait 20 years to pass this thing through. They brought it in overnight, they can get rid of it overnight. Like most laws. That's what they do. Okay, well, I'll use the gun control laws here in Canada, such as Bill C-68. It took them overnight, literally, within 30 days or so, or 60 days, I go look at it. It didn't take them long to really pass this thing, whatever the minimum requirement was to put this into law. But it took the Harper government 10 years to almost do away with a few facets of it. So the goal is they never wanted to get rid of it, because they could have got rid of it on day one. Sign the bill, get it done. But we have to consider this. No, you don't. And that's what's happening with the Brexit. And other referendums, so that the Italian referendum, I'm sure they're going to find a way to keep them in there. To buy time. But the people don't want it anymore. That's the thing. And that's where I think you're going to start to see a lot of politicians and stuff either disappearing, dying mysteriously, committed suicide, or quitting in 2017. Why? Because it'll be too dangerous to be the person that won't listen to the people in 2017. I'm not saying it's going to be a scorched earth in 2017. I'm just saying it's going to be bizarre and unpredictable. Yes, there will be super ramping up of terrorist attacks. Most of it, I think, will be blowback. Some of it will be false flags. There's no doubt about that. Why? Because they need to lock down the people. There's no doubt about that. That they need to make sure that everything is in place, so when the people do snap, they've already got they don't have any laws that'll hinder their martial law. I'm not saying we're going to have martial law everywhere in the world, but you're going to see it in pockets, because I think 2017 is going to look worse than 2008 for a lot of people, for a lot of countries. It already is. Now, as far as them collapsing the economy on Trump's watch, I don't think they'll collapse it on his watch until, again, I'm sticking to my guns, no economic collapse till war comes. But however, with what I'm seeing and what everybody's seeing, now that they're trying to legislate gold away from people and silver and stuff like that, they haven't done it yet, but they're finding ways to do it. This is starting in India. They're not going to do door-to-door confiscation right away. It has to be incremental, because they're already doing things way too fast, and the people are waking up to it. But the idea is that you're going to make the economy so rough to make every policy of Donald Trump's look like a failure. But the problem is Donald Trump is still a wild card. Why? When the banks go insolvent, okay, like Obama, I think what they're going to do is they're going to let the stock market hit 20,000, and as Obama's handing over the keys, probably within a week or so of Trump's inauguration, you're going to start to see economic disparities here, there, and everything. Oh, well, Trump didn't do this. Oh, well, Trump didn't do that. Like, remember, for the first 2 years, Barack Obama, well, he inherited such a, horrible thing from George Bush. Is it really his fault, or is it just that, he's got such a mess to deal with? Well, Trump has got literally 4 to 5 times, $4 trillion to $20 trillion. There's a $16 trillion difference between Obama and Trump. So Trump is definitely inheriting a much more unstable economy than anybody, in history. There's no doubt about that. But Trump's card is simply, okay, when the banks go insolvent, we're going to pull the Iceland solution, bail out the people, put the bankers in jail, and really don't put them in jail for 2 years. Put them in jail for life. Crimes against humanity, one charge. People have died who went to war because of these banksters. And guys like Eric Holder, well, they're too big to jail because then the economy will collapse if we put them in jail. Well, pay me now, pay me later. We're bleeding out slow. I'd rather rip the bandage off fast, but however, that does mean a lot of people are probably going to die in the short run. But more people will die in the long run if we don't, reset, hit the reset button. That's the Trump card Trump has, and he can do this, and it would wipe out all these, like the Koch brothers. Why are the Koch brothers still in the top 10 most? I don't know if they're still in the top 10, but why are these guys around the top 10 most richest people in the world when they were completely insolvent in 2008? Because the taxpayer bailed them out. So if these guys don't get bailouts, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, all these guys, and again, all these home loans, you got all these what they call zombie homes and stuff like that the banks are buying up to make it look like people are buying homes. Nobody's buying homes. Millennials, 75-year low of home ownership. Yeah, what does that tell you about your economy? This great recovery Obama's always talking about, but there is no recovery. And there's that. Now, as far as on the migrant scene, yeah, we're going to see a lot more terrorist attacks. Again, I haven't looked yet, but I'm assuming there was probably a lot of refugees last night in Germany and stuff like that. For the first time in my life, they had New Year's Eve, they had snipers on the tops of buildings in Ottawa. They brought out all these trucks full of sand and stuff, so nobody with buses or trucks could run people over. I don't know. Again, I haven't looked. I'll know after I'm done the video if any of this stuff happened. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But I think, again, it's going to get a lot rougher. On the 10th Crusade part, yes, I say we are going to see snaps either in Germany or in France, probably there first, possibly even Sweden. I think the Swedes are about to snap. I really do. I say they go berserker by the end of 2017 and start. You're going to see like an army of Breviks, however you say his name there, coming out and killing refugees. Like, it's just that. Mind you, this is orchestrated. That's what they want. I'm sure the powers that be are like, what's taking them so long? But it's orchestrated for reasons. And the idea is to centralize power, to take rights away. The game never changes. How they do it, what they do, the details aren't really that matter that much because we know what they want to do. The other thing they want to do, again, is to completely crack down on the internet. There's no doubt about that. That is just Obama's last feats with the NDAA. What? You lie, gas gauge. I played this game before, but I'm almost home, so yeah. But anyway, yeah. What does he do? This bill, you might as well call it the Soviet-style Ministry of Truth, where now the CIA, which a lot of people are saying that the CIA is at war with Trump, the directors, because you have to understand, like, these people, they're probably going to be held accountable for a lot of stuff they did, hopefully, under Trump, if he's the real deal. That's why I think you're seeing all this craziness, is that they're trying to derail him. They're acts of desperation, because they're like, what can we do to derail him so he doesn't come after us? Same with Hillary Clinton and all that. I do think Hillary Clinton burns in 2017. They're going to kill her. There's no doubt about that. Do they do it in 2017? I don't know. But if I had to guess, if I had to guess about it, I would say, yeah, they probably will. Why? Because if this woman ever gets to testify, being the psychopath that she is, she'll throw everybody under the bus. And if she were to do that, my God, the amount of people that would burn. But I don't think it really matters because, I mean, if the global elites knock off all the people that would go in jail, well, you're saving the taxpayer that money anyway. So I don't really think they win there. I don't think there's any way they can really win at all, to be honest with you. I think what's going to happen very, very clearly is that whenever it comes down to it, Okay, I got a snowbank higher than my door here. Man, did it ever snow last night? Again, I don't know if you guys could see it on the camera. The edge of the parking lot there, it's like, it's a good 4.5 feet tall. It's funny. Over here, like that's just the banks got pushed up by the plows there. Like it's like, wow. It snowed like over a foot last night. You can see the roof at the hall. Just to show you, it was like, it was a fun New Year's Eve. It wasn't too cold or like that, but that wind on the way home was kind of cold. But I was at like 5 o'clock in the morning too. But yeah, it snowed a lot last night. But anyway, yeah. So they're going to have to do something like that. I think we're just going to see and WikiLeaks stuff popping out left, right, and center. I think you're going to start to see the beginnings of breakaway societies, particularly with white males. There's no doubt about that. Like here in Canada, we've got laws. Pretty much everybody is a protected minority except for white guys. Everybody, like with Bill C-25 and stuff like that, these new gender parities, Agenda 2030, United Nations Agenda 2030 stuff, all kind of just being pushed through in countries all over the place. Well, I think the backlash to that is, I do believe probably in 2017, you're probably going to see some new political parties just popping up all over the place, probably even here in Canada. Right now, there are no options for Canadians to vote. You either vote for a leftist globalist, a centrist globalist, or a rightist globalist, if those words. So I think a nationalism party of some sort. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to do one. Again, 270 signatures and you got yourself a political party. We have 22 political parties, I think, in Canada. Some of them are like really ridiculous. Like you got like the marijuana party. You've got the what's the other one? It's like a really goofy thing. The rhinoceros party, those type of thing. I don't even know what the marijuana party one you could pretty much figure out. But there's other ones, libertarian parties and stuff like that. All these things have popped up, so they're going to start to take form. Because people are like, there's just nobody they can trust or vote for that will actually serve the interest of the people. They're all, again, Trudeau, trade deals, it really, the only difference between Trudeau and Harper is that Trudeau can't count, and we're already 30 billion, well, that we know of, in debt, when he was only supposed to get us in debt 40 billion, okay, in 4 years. First year, we're at 30 billion. So we're going to be, like, I say about, by the end of Trudeau's third year, we're probably going to be about, anywhere from 120 to 240 trillion, or billion, not trillion, but billion in debt. And I do believe Canada is about to get a huge economic storm hit us flat in the face. The wild cards too is, what is Trump going to do? What is Trump going to do with trade deals and stuff like that? I don't think we, like Trump said, you're not going to see much for the first 2 years because you got to line up all the ducks in the row, right? So that type of thing. But I think what Trump's going to do is just little biscuits here. Oh, we saved 1,000 jobs here, 2,000 jobs there. Remember, he's got to put 94 to 96 million people that are out of work back to work. He's got to get 54% of the population off of government assistance. And do that without this system imploding. It's almost impossible, right? Especially when you go to take welfare away. On the war front, I don't know. I think we're going to see China get really aggressive this year, especially with Trump's stance on China. No doubt about that. I think Iran is going to be doing some kind of bold stuff as well. I don't know if we're going to see any incidents there because, again, the Iranians aren't stupid. Trust me, they don't trust Trump because they know his ties to Israel. I think you're going to see a lot of shit happen in Israel. Will it be self-inflicted, false flags? It's hard to say when it comes to Israel because, I mean, remember the Gulf of Tonkin, or the U.S. Liberty. The Israelis attacked a U.S. warship to get the Americans to come and fight for them. So that's the way the Israelis think. They don't mind killing people for their cause. And I think Trump is easily duped when it comes to Israel. He has, I wouldn't say blinders on, but that pro-Israel, here, phone. Anyway, he has that kind of pro-Israel blinders on that a lot of Americans have, where they cannot be objective about Israel at all because God said so, that type of thing. They can't separate the Israeli government from biblical Israel, which makes them very easy to manipulate. So we have to keep an eye on that. The people, well, as far as the people, again, going 10th Crusade stuff, I still say the big snap is going to be in the UK. Probably, I'll call it the Battle of London now. I just don't know when that's going to take place. I think that's a few years out. Like I've been saying with the 10th Crusade thing, it is a crusade. The jihadists coming in, the men of fighting age, just listen to them. They're telling you it's a crusade. That's what it is. That's what they're doing. They're there to, rape the women, kill the men, conquer the land. Pretty much word for word, Now, where it gets interesting is, I do believe that we're going to see the first crusade battles this year, which will be constituted by dead guys lying over here, dead guys lying over here from two opposing groups. So, You could say, I'll use like EDL or Pegida as an example. You'll see Pegida guys dead and a bunch of fighting-aged young men, migrants, dead. And they will clash somewhere. It will be guns, knives, fists, whatever. Whatever it's going to be. We're going to see that somewhere. Now, the first battles are going to be small. The big battle is to take place, in my opinion, in the UK, probably just on the outskirts of London. We'll call it the Battle of London. Could be 50,000 on 50,000, 100,000 on 100,000, whatever. It's going to be war. It's going to be civil war. There's no doubt about that. Does that start in 2017? I don't know. But the rumblings of it, like a lot of crusades in the past, some of them took 100 years to get going. But when the Europeans snap, they're going to snap. And when they snap, they're not only going to kick out the migrants, but the migrants won't be able to get out. That's why I've been telling people, if you think I'm a racist, bigot, xenophobe, homophobe, whatever, thisophobe, dataphobe, everywhere, phobe, I can't warn people any better. If you are a minority, well, I guess they're not minorities anymore when they're coming in at a rate of 1 million a year, soon to be 9. I think they're proposing, with family unification, 9 million for Germany, like in the next 2 years. Like, it's impossible. The thing is if you're there now, when the Europeans start snap, that's when you're going to actually see real white supremacy, real racism, not this social justice where like that sign is that handicap sign is racist because it's on white and you got a black on the border and it's not representative enough of the black. That's the way those people think. They're so brainwashed into that SJW culture, religion, political correctness and stuff like that. You can't reason with them anyway. And those are the people, unfortunately, that are still kind of in charge throughout Europe and here in Canada. Now, the thing is we're 8 to 10 years out, I say, probably maybe even a little less than that, to our cultural clash. But Europe, it's pretty much there. It can't go much further than this. Because if it does, if the Europeans do nothing and allow the migrants to go any further, they're just going to start killing Europeans in the middle of the street anyway, in open daylight, because, the police won't put them in jail, which I think you're going to see a mass police around the world, like, just quitting everywhere. And you're already seeing it all over the States. So you've seen it in Sweden last year. 7 to 11,000 Swedish cops pretty much quit. Who do you think your crusaders are going to be? It's going to be those guys. Now, those guys, when they start quitting in large numbers, the people that are going to hold up the system, they're going to get brutalized, cops, whatever, riot cops, whatever, those type of things, because they're going to get steamrolled by populism uprisings. And they will not be able to protect all these world elites. These world elites, I don't even think half of them are going to make it bumper. But the innocent people in between, if you can see this coming, have a plan B, because if you're a minority, once that crusade thing really does kick off, then it's us, them. There is no, well, I don't really agree with this. I'm a moderate. No, it's us, them. That's the way it works in history, typically. Us, them. You're not going to be able to get out of the way with that. Many of these migrants, they don't even realize that, the ditches will be dug, maybe not this year, but probably by 2019, especially if we see Germany move back to the right, you could see ditches dug and just people slaughtered, Kosovo style, you know what I mean? Like, they're just going to kill people like that. Might not happen that quick, but there's going to be a blind eye turned to those things. So the people that are in there, they're not going to be able to get out. That's what I'm telling you. It's like the Europeans are going to surround you in. They're going to kill you when you're in there. They're not, it's going to be a crusade. Like, it's going to be, you won't be able to peacefully leave. That time is going. That's, and I know a lot of people can't see this stuff happening, but it's happening right in front of your eyes. Like, you can clearly see it. So it's just a matter of snap. When does that first penguin jump off the iceberg? That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, when you see it, whatever side of the fence you're on, if you don't want to get caught up into it, understand that you're looking at something that is manufactured. They want this. They want this big time. That way they can lock down the people, have their one world government, yada, yada, yada. It's not going to work. Plus, the Rothschilds, remember on the Economist magazine in 1998, or whatever, Rothschild-owned Economist magazine, had a phoenix rising from the ashes. Now, in 2017, they have a really weird cover for 2017. But basically what they're saying is they want a one world currency, which will probably be a digital currency, a cashless society by 2018. So that means a lot of desperate, bad things have to happen. The problem is they don't think anybody realizes that the banks are doing it, that they blame the politicians. So the politicians, again, they're all going to turn into cutthroats. They have to, or they're going to get killed. That's why I think a lot of them are going to we're starting to see them getting knocked off now. Most of them have been Russian, but there's been a few, the Clinton death pool just got bigger there last week. Some lady got, a suicide again that was basically working for the Clinton Foundation. It's amazing how many of those people end up dead. I wouldn't work for the Clinton Foundation. Hell no. It's like, if they think you're a liability, they just kill you. Like, I mean, that's the way these people are. But as I talked about those hellhounds, again, the first wave hellhounds are out in the open now. You got Donald Trump, you've got Nigel Farage would be like a hellhound. Anybody calling for truth and restoring of rule of law against the system, the anti-establishment. That's your first wave. But the second wave, you don't see those. These are the guys that are probably active duty law enforcement, military. They're going to knock off judges, lawyers, politicians, you name it, make it all look like accidents. That's started. And then when the third wave hellhounds come in, call them spooks with a conscience, patriots, whatever, that is a military coup. But I don't see a military coup against Trump in 2017. But we could see a split of factions within the military itself. Very scary. Like a military civil war, so to speak. Very, very, very scary. That could start in 2017. We're already seeing the beginnings of it. All these factors. It's all behind the scenes, so we don't see how much the FBI is tearing itself apart of the CIA or whatever. But the CIA is full of goonbags that knock people off left, right, and center. So those guys, I think a lot of those guys are going to end up dead. We're never going to see it. We're not going to know about it. These are people that no names, no faces. These are the gray men. That type of thing. Now, that said, I think freedom of speech is going to really be challenged this year. We're already seeing it with, you might as well call this hate speech laws, ministry of truth thing with the fake news. And the fact that they're doubling down so much on fake news, I think is what's putting the jig up, where people are like, like I'm sure the guy I was talking to about 2 weeks ago, it's like, oh no, the thing about Donald Trump, why he won is because of the fake news. They're going to buy that narrative probably for about 6 months max. And then it's like, well, everything, Russia did it or it's fake news. Russia did it or it's fake news. But you haven't shown any proof, to discredit. So people are going to start asking questions. And again, anybody looks into it. Once they look into it, that's it. Like they can't re-brainwash those people. The older people that still watch the mainstream TV, yeah, the baby boomer generation, yeah, they're going to buy it a lot longer. But millennials, they get all their news, if they check out news at all, it's online. But with all the censorship, this is what these world elites don't understand is every time you censor something, that's what draws attention to the, whether they're shadow banning or coming up with hate speech laws and stuff like that. I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff in Canada, particularly with Professor Patterson. I can't remember what his name is. The guy that's going to be going in front of the one of the 14 human rights tribunals here in Canada for not using the proper pronoun. I think a lot of this transgender stuff is really going to be brought front and center. It's going to be rough for the LGBTQ community this year and SJWs. I do think, you're going to see SJWs committing suicide in large numbers. Why? Their religion has failed. They can't cry bully their way to get all these things anymore. Third wave feminism, again, it's being brought front and center. They can't scare people by racist, bigot, xenophobe. They don't have the buzzwords anymore. Saul Alinsky's tactics have failed to this point. Because, in the short run, yes, Saul Alinsky tactic, ridicule, there's nothing to combat. Yes, it's truth over time. Again, 1,000 years of lies can be destroyed by moments of truth. I think you're going to see so many truth bombs. And we have something really weird happening. And I want you to think about this. If we were in 1982, okay, I just picked that year for the sake of a year. If you were left-wing, you were anti-establishment and anti-war. If you were right-wing, you were a neocon, and you trusted the government, and you were patriotic when it came to war. Now it's complete opposite. The left is what's calling for all the wars, all these Democrats. But again, neocons versus they're all hate-filled warmongers anyway. But the thing is the populace, whether the people that are moderate, not these 10% radicals on the left or the right, but the moderates, 80% of people are going to really get centralized and say, okay, well, I don't agree with this guy, but I'd rather see a neo-Nazi sitting there having a cup of coffee with a Zionist rabbi, debating ideas in a peaceful manner rather than people killing each other and beating each other over the head. And what leads to people beating each other over the head? Where every genocide in history has always started, at some form of banning freedom of speech. Right now, again, the more they crack down on the internet, the more it draws attention to these big corporations like Google, all that stuff. And the more they start finding people, they'll scare a few people, but I think, again, you're going to see martyrdom when it comes to freedom of speech. You got Professor Patterson, or Peterson. I know you guys say, well, it's this guy, whatever. If you remember what his name is. When he goes in front of the Canadian Human Rights Tribunals, again, unelected bodies, just these, and these things are brought in by the UN. When they sound good, they're all buzzwords. Human Rights Tribunal. Who isn't for a human rights tribunal? Who isn't for equality? Who isn't for anti-bullying? Everybody, hears these buzzwords. But now when they start looking at what these bills are and stuff like that, that's what they're rebelling against. The LGBT community, it's about rights. And at this point, it's not about rights. It's about supremacy. So with this guy, who, if he sticks to his guns, okay, he's going to martyr himself. He's not going to pay the fine. He's going to get a fine because you have SJWs deciding whether a white man who didn't use the proper pronoun should get a fine or not. He's going to get the fine. Now in Canada, a misdemeanor is a fine. A criminal offense, you go to jail. Right? Now, when it's a misdemeanor, when you get the fine, but it's a criminal offense not to pay the fine. But all that's going to do is cause a ruckus for the human rights tribunals, which they shouldn't be existing anyway. There's no legitimacy to these things at all. It's all leftism, brainwashing and stuff like that. They're not about human rights tribunal, like human rights. It's an SJW organization funded by George Soros, Tides Foundation, Rothschilds, Rockefeller. It's the same people all the time. So people are going to reject that in large numbers. I think universities are going to get a shock. I think because universities, guys aren't going to university anymore. And it's not because they're not stupid. It's just like, not because they're stupid or whatever, that they're not going to the universities. They're not going because they can't stand the SJWs. Now, when you go on the average campus, you're only really going to see a handful of SJWs. But you have to understand, there's a whole generation snowflake. These people are so brainwashed. Many of them will come out of it, but I think because there's nothing offered, this is where you're going to start seeing offerings on the internet, such as there's a new server. You're already seeing these websites starting to pop up now. There's, I think, Reddit. What was the other one? I was looking at Minds, like Minds.com. These things are starting. They're little tiny specks right now. They're nothing compared to Google or Amazon or all that. But it's just a matter of displacement. And I think things like Facebook, they'll be around for a lot longer. But the more they crack down, they're going to lose that hegemony. Like no matter how much money is thrown at it by the government. Remember, internet in Canada, the United States, and many European countries are now a government utility. It's no longer, like Obama said, we no longer want the Wild West on there. But people want the Wild West. So, again, they only have two options for the internet. Completely take it away, which would cause such hell for the politicians. They would never be able to pull it off. Or they're going to lose everything. Like they're like Google, all that. No one's going to use the service. Well, some people use the service. People who just care about cat videos and dog videos. Yeah, they'll still use YouTube. But the other guys are just going to come in, and especially if if truth and reason and open dialogue becomes the new norm, which it will. The best thing that will come out of that is that these other sites that censor, they're just going to these other new sites are just going to pop up day after day after day, even on like YouTube and stuff like that. You're going to have all these truther channels, they'll never be able to stay, even with algorithms, they can't, they'll destroy their own model. They can't do it. So I think that's something you're going to see is just a rising of people standing up and saying, no, we're going to be heard. The worry I have is that it just flips to the new type of SJWs. So we have to keep it intellectual. We have to keep it open and transparent, and we can't shut down the other side. As people lose their jobs for political correctness, there's people that lost their jobs for voting for Trump. That stuff is going to have such severe blowback. You'll be tarred and feathered if you're an SJW. And these people are so mentally fragile to begin with. That's why they're probably going to start committing suicide in mass numbers. And, I think a lot of them, the ones that don't, I'm going to wake a lot of them up, hopefully. The numbers are just going to just multiply on the truther, freedom, and calling for. I think in Norway they've already kind of made a link to like a Pizzagate thing, and it's not even on the mainstream news. So these things are going to crack apart. The mainstream media, I think, is dead and over. They just don't know it yet. It won't matter how much money they put into that, but people are going to get pissed off. Same like here in Canada with the CBC, they're going to get pissed off that we're throwing all this money into something that people just don't want. They don't want to be told how to think that. Oh well, because it's fake news. Some people are going to believe it, and then it could have consequences. What, are they going to pull all the National Enquirers out of all the stores? Ice falling off my poor van. Because, like baby, puppy dog gives birth to baby alien head or something like that. Yeah, okay, some people believe that. Okay, fine. So do we pull it away? No, because people want choice. And that's what government is trying to eliminate is choice. And use fear tactics to do it. But every time they use these fear tactics, It keeps backfiring and backfiring and backfiring. So I do think there's a lot of positive things coming in, but they're going to come in very painfully. So just be prepared for that kind of stuff in 2017. I think it's just going to be a year of bizarreness, and you're going to see a beginning of, like, say, breakaway societies. I've already talked about these before, of the people that just, okay, well, and you're already seeing it. Like, you're already seeing, like, people that, like, follow my channel and stuff like that and other people's channels. You're already seeing them, moving into their own group. It's like, well, the mainstream doesn't represent us at all. We can't function there. And they're going to just organize amongst themselves, which makes them stronger as a unit. And then once they're unified, that's it. Individualism, I think, libertarianism and individualism, I think, are going to go away as the dodos, because it's so much of an us versus them, divide and conquer out there, that people have to choose sides, whatever the issue is. And yeah, so it's going to just be bizarre thing after bizarre event after bizarre event. I do think you're going to see a huge drop off in rock stars and stuff like that. Weather patterns, well, I think it's going to be a cold year. I think, it come out that global warming heating thing that NOAA was putting out. Again, Rothschild owned NOAA. Turns out, they manipulated the data to show an increase in temperature for the hottest year ever again. So it wasn't. So, thing is, if we have a longer winter, which sucks because I got a motorcycle now. I was like, I want to ride the darn thing. Longest winter of my life. And that might be true too. We have long winters, short growing seasons. It means there's going to be food scarcity at a time with tough economic. Yeah, what they'll blame it on, and actually what it's, again, prepare yourselves wisely in that area. Put food away. I always give rice a plug because it's the cheapest thing I can think of. If you guys think of better things that you can buy in mass bulk for reasonable amount of money, post it down below. Work as a team here, because it takes 16 weeks to grow an edible crop. You can't do that right now. That's from when you can put seeds in the ground, so to speak. So, I'm not saying become a hoarder or whatever, but have a buffer zone so if we do end up like Venezuela or something like that, because again, there's going to be economic black swans coming. There's going to be all kinds of bizarre stuff coming in 2017. There's just too many things that are about to let go. There's no way to control it all. And the only way they control it is by spinning it, but to spin it, they have to do something even worse, meaning, the New World Order types or whatever, globalists. So it's like, well, if we need to crack down, we need to kill people off over here in a big, false flag so that we can get the people to go along with it. But once they go along with it, then they protest what they're going along with. So it's just kind of a catch-22 for them. So they're just going to double down on everything. And these people are insane. It's very clear. Hillary Clinton is an insane person. And people like her. And those people are still in power, so keep that in mind. All right, I guess I'll leave it at about that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think we're going to see some really bizarre stuff in 2017. So, all right, so I'll leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next time, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourselves, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. Good day, and welcome. Happy New Year. Take 2. Shut my camera off. That's it. All right, I just want to show you how much it snowed last night. Check out, look at the pile there, and over here. It's like crazy. It snowed so much last night. It was a good night. So hope everybody had a good Happy New Year. And hope you guys can see me. Just try not to back into anybody. Move my back way. That thing is completely useless. Man, that's a big snowbank. I can't see nothing. I can't see. I'll stop when I hear the crunch. Alright, so. Bad spot to pull out of. Kind of-ish. Alright, so I figured, well, I was starting off the year right. I got home at like 5 in the morning. I was with friends. That type of thing. They had the Bears Den Christmas Eve party at the hall. $15 to get in. That was crazy. But it was all good. They had a DJ. I was one of the youngest guys in the room for a little while. A fair amount of people showed up. It was pretty good. So, I haven't looked at any of I'm on my way to the hall there now. I haven't looked at any of the news or like that. The only thing I caught a glimpse of, which apparently in Turkey they couldn't wait till 2017 to blow people up, but unfortunately I think something like 35 people flew up there. But there's a lot going on there too, so. So 2017 predictions. Well, I think it's going to be the year of the bazaar. Why? Just look at how crazy 2016 was. It started off crazy. It stayed consistently crazy the entire way through. And, yeah. So why would it change too much now? Well, what will be more bizarre is in the next 20 days, I think what we're going to see as Donald Trump gets closer to his inauguration is just despotism from the world elites. Trying to, I don't know what they're going to try to do, but just so that they can set it up. So that Donald Trump can't be successful. Now, there's really only two things they can do to Donald Trump to really derail him, like they do to most. Stay on my side of the road. What they do to most presidents, they derail them into a war. And this might be something like, just as an example, the UN resolution for against the two-state solution in the United Nations. This was clearly looks like it was Obama's doing, but it might not be, because think about it this way. Trump is pro-Israel, right? So, the United States, pretty much under Obama, snubs Israel in the last couple of days of his presidency. Now, we all know Obama's a puppet. Trump we're not sure of yet. And we won't know what he's going to do about Israel. That's where I have my concerns with Trump. Yes, Hillary Clinton would probably have had us in a war already with Russia. But with Trump, I think the angle is going to be, and it's kind of what they wanted all along, was to find a way to go to war with Iran. And that seems to be, that's still on the table. You know what I mean? Like, that's still not off the table. Now, Trump's stance on the economy and on the Middle East are still up for grabs, because this man is surrounding himself with people, like I say, the basket of deplorables and shadies that he has to pick from. They're still the same people running the system at the end of the day when you look at it. Same Goldman Sachs bankers, just shuffled around a bit, Come on, it's just a little hell, you can make it. And the thing about that is, there's two thoughts on this. That he's surrounding himself with people, yes, that have very much been around and were instrumental into the 2008 collapse and all that stuff. And there's two schools of thought in it. That new boss will be the same as the old boss. That Trump is just, we didn't get anything with Trump and that it's all rigged anyway. Or the other thing is that these are the best people, because they know how the system is rigged, to take it down or reform it or whatever they're going to do. So that is a possibility. But however, remember, these world elites are sanctioned. They're factions that are fighting. What the hell is this crazy stuff on the road? Don't put craziness on the road like that. I don't know if you guys can hear all the slush and everything.